1, 2, 3. Tag Me In Podcast.
Tag Me In Podcast, back again with another episode. You are joined by myself, Ola.
And also Anton.
Yes. And in today's episode, we are looking at turning dreams into reality and making our dreams and goals as specific as possible using a very powerful technique called the SMART technique. And that stands for...
You think you're smart, innit?
Yeah, I think you're best smart with your SMART goals. Who do you think you are? That's looking at making goals specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And I mean, part of the reason why we decided to kind of have this discussion and lead on it is that we live in a world where, and I'm sure you've experienced it, we meet people, even within ourselves, people just have these arbitrary dreams and ideas that they want to achieve. But because there aren't any specifics around it, that's all it becomes. It just remains...
becomes a dream.
It remains
it's a fantasy idea. One day.
It remains something in your mind one day, soon, when the kids are grown up, at one point, eventually.
I had that idea. That was my dream.
Yeah, that was my idea. And to be fair, I've seen people just go through that exact same thing where it's like, yeah, I had that idea. I wanted to,
so
but then...
What did you do about it?
What did you do about it? There wasn't any sort of action behind it.
And it's that whole saying about words, isn't it? No, you don't know it?
Which one?
About actions speak louder than words.
Actions speak louder than words. And it's important to think about it because I think everyone sort of has ideas. I think what separates people or from successful people or people who achieve their goals and dreams is that those successful people take those ideas, those dreams, those aspirations, put them down into logical, tangible, broken down pieces and kind of make it happen. And they achieve it. They make it smart. What do I want to achieve? I want to lose weight. How much weight do you want to lose? I want to lose 10 kg. How are you going to measure that? How are you going to determine that? Are you going to weigh yourself every day, every week? When are you looking to achieve that? In the next 10 months, 10 years, 10 weeks? What's the plan?
I feel like even before that, sometimes you just have to do.
It's action. Ultimately, obviously, it's action because action begets more action, and it is action. But I think there has to be some structure around what you're trying to achieve. So you could just be going to the gym willy-nilly, but if your diet is off plan, you can't out-train a bad diet. Using that sort of weight loss example. And that's a classic one for a lot of people where they want to lose weight, but they haven't got that structure. I've been on this sort of training program, and one thing I learned from it is the measure aspect. So one of the biggest things that I think contributed to my success and my awareness was being able to sort of tangibly measure what I was doing. I had to do 10,000 steps each day. How was I going to do that? How was I going to count? Because I wasn't counting no 1, 2, 3 steps. There's no way. What did I do? I got a watch that kind of counts my steps. So I know how many I'm doing throughout the day. I had to eat, X amount of protein, carbs, fats a day. How do I do that? I weighed my foods out. I looked at measurements. I looked at the kind of macro nutritional content of these foods. I weighed it out and I meal prepped. That kind of took the kind of stress of having to cook food every day out of it. It made it that bit easier. And I had to do gym 3, 4, 5 times a week. I had to take pictures to assess my body on a weekly basis. I had to weigh myself every day. That put me in that mindset of specifically measuring what I wanted to achieve. It made it tangible. I had a time frame. And sort of since then, I've kind of taken that concept of measuring goals and ideas and dreams and kind of applied that to different areas of my life. So looking at sort of buying a property, looking at building things, and I can sort of say, okay, in order for me to get this house, for example, I need this amount of deposit. I'm going to save X amount a month for 10 months or a year or 2 years, and I'll have this amount to be able to do that, as opposed to just, I want a house. Yeah. Because the classic example of something that I see is this whole, I want to be financially independent or I want to be happy. How do you measure these things? Yes, it will be subjective for different people. Happiness to me might be completely different to what happiness is for you, Anton. But how do we measure that? I'm not saying we need to be there like, I'm enjoying this sun, let me measure this happiness. But it is, obviously, there are sort of different ways to assess and look at how we're feeling in these situations, and to be able to assess how we measure these things, I think is an important aspect. Because I think that's what really kind of what makes that goal tangible. I want to do this. Yeah, that's nice. How are we going to do it? When are you going to do it? Who's going to help you? What resources, what tools do you need to to make it happen. And I think that's like a big piece, because it's that point of it's just going to remain a dream.
I think that's the achievable part, isn't it?
And
or attainable, so let's
the
say.
attainable aspect, isn't it? And I think another important thing is that it's the sort of thing I see at the start of the year. New year, new me, 2020, New Year's resolutions, and then people kind of come with the New Year's resolutions, and because some of the goals are just so arbitrary, with no deadline, no time frame, I think that's what stops them from achieving it. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but in the gym, January 1st, bro, till about mid-January, their gym is rammed. Absolutely rambo. Everyone's in there, their mum, dad, uncle, their dog's in there, doing doggy weights. Everyone's trying to get it. End of January now.
They're not around no more.
It is just empty. Even the people who were there before, absolutely empty. And I think it's just that point about not having that strong enough desire to a goal as well. It's all good and well having, being able to measure a goal and assess it and whatever else, looking at the logical aspect. But I think if there isn't that strong alignment to the why behind the why, I think that's also a big struggle point for a lot of people, because there will be days when you're just not going to be up for it. There will be days when you won't be bothered to go to the gym, or if you're trying to be a chef, go to chef school, or whatever the case is. There's going to be days where you're going to want to give up. And without that strong desire, or without that strong why behind the why of your reason for doing it in the first place, I think that's where a lot of people tend to struggle. Because when you are down, you then look to your why to sort of be like, okay, that's why I'm doing it. I'm working 2 jobs, not for me, but for my kids, to give them a better future, to be able to put them through good quality school, to get a house in a good area for my kids. So although I don't feel like going to work today, my kids got to eat. And my kids, they need these things. So I need to do what I need to do. And that's my why behind my why. And I think that's where that sort of aspect kind of comes in. And it's important to factor that in. Question to you.
Sorry.
Go on.
So one thing that I've been challenging with is, you know how you're saying about the why behind the why?
Yeah.
Your why behind the why is for the future, and you haven't actually touched it, and you don't know if it's tangible because it's not a reality. So it's a dream, right? Yeah. So how do you find that inspiration? How do you find that motivation that you should continue keep going when you don't even know it's a real thing? Obviously, you're aiming for it. Yeah. But how do you
actually get there? For me, it's that initial why. So it's I'm doing this because in the past I haven't looked like this, or I want to feel this way. And then, like you said, the why behind the why for a lot of people is that future forward looking aspect. So I'm doing this for my kids, for their future. But what's going to drive me now? Yeah. My initial why. I think it's usually...
So on that example, what's the initial why?
So say for the kids, trying to give them a good future, it's giving them a good now as well.
But they're not here now. But they're not here now. Your kids are not here.
No, that was an example.
Okay.
No, I don't have kids.
I thought you said...
No. I don't have kids yet. That was an example. What? I'm like, whose kids are we talking about? No. So for that individual, it would be... In the context example, it would be that person's doing it for their kids' future. Yeah. But obviously their kids would be there with them now. So the emotion or the strong pull they have to achieve for their kids is still there for the present moment. Yeah, I don't have... Not yet. Like...
So let's work with a real example then. What's a dream that you have right now?
So one that I've done, one that I've achieved, that is tangible, has been the fitness aspect. So for the longest time I've been saying, and this has been years, there was never really like a strong whatever. It was just a thing I just said. So it was like an arbitrary, it was a dream. It's literally been a dream. For years I'm like, 6-pack. I like the idea of a 6-pack. I want a 6-pack. And then that first why was, I want a 6-pack. I like the look. I want it. The why behind the why was the sort of health and fitness aspect. So I remember reading this little portion it was in an article, and it spoke about how it was sort of, not on a riddle, but it was like, you need to take care of your best friend. Your best friend is important. They're with you forever. And it was like, your best friend is your body.
Yay, come on.
And it was like that point of, you only get one body. What you do to it now will... A lot of our daily actions and habits...
wear and tear over the years.
So our results in life are a lagging aspect or lagging result of what we do, what we've done in the past. So what we're doing now will be a lagging aspect of how we look and feel in the future. And it's to that kind of point of the way you look after your body or the way you treat your body will determine a lot of things down the line. So looking after your body, because it's the only one you get. If you break a car, if your phone breaks, you can get a replacement. It isn't necessarily the case with your body. Yes, there are advancements in technology and healthcare. You can get replacement hip, but do you want to be walking around like Robocop? Or would you rather kind of have your own pieces in your body sort of thing? So it's that kind of aspect of taking care of my health. Because when I look at really old people and they say, I wish I'd spent a bit more time in the gym. I wish I hadn't smoked so much. I wish I hadn't drank so much. And seeing that a lot of the effects that they have on their bodies are irreversible, I think that for me was another sort of big why as well. Because if you have a cup of ice, if it melts, you can refreeze it. But then there are other sides where if you have a bit of bread and you toast it, you can't untoast it. If there's certain damages that can happen to the body that can't be reversed. Yeah. So it's that aspect of how much do you care about your body? This is the one vessel you have for the rest of your life. So it's just like, so for me on the surface, it was the six pack, it was the aesthetic aspects, but on the deeper sort of meaning behind it was having a genuine interest and care for what I was feeding my body. If I'm feeding my mind right, why shouldn't I be feeding my body with the right nutrients, vitamins, minerals, getting the right amount of water a day, just keeping my body refreshed and energized. And that for me was like the big pulling point, and that's what kind of came out as part of the sort of training sessions, was that it's all good and well us giving you the mechanics, which is eat this, don't eat that, exercise this. That's the easy part. That's just mechanics, that's habit. But you need to understand your why behind the why. What's your deeper reasoning? Because that's what's going to help you when there's days when you're going to want to have chocolate. You're going to want to give up. You're going to feel like, I don't want to do this. It's raining. It's long, man. I'm tired. 10:05. I want to go home. I've had a long day at work. I don't want to deal with that. What's going to help me? And it's that kind of driving force. That's obviously one example for me.
No, that's a good example.
Yeah, for everyone, it's obviously going to be completely different. And the reason I mention it is because it has a significant part to play in your goals. Everyone has goals. To be fair, most people, a lot of the times, tend to have the same goals. I want to make more money. I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to do this. I want to be buff. I want to whatever. Everyone's got these kind of goals. I think, again, what separates a lot of successful people and people who achieve their goals is that ability to be able to say, this is my why behind my why. This is my driving force. When it's raining, this is the umbrella that's going to keep me going. This is the jacket that's going to keep me pushing through. Again, a lot of it, I think, sometimes can be mechanics. You do A, you do B, you get C. But what's the emotional aspect that no one else can tap into? That's your core belief. Me and you can go gym at the same time together, lift the same weight, eat the same food. If your force is bigger than mine, the days when I'm giving up, I'm not on it, you're still in the gym. You will then push beyond me. And it's important because I read this book again, Atomic Habits, James Clear, and it talks about being 1% better every day. And that we can all start off on the same foot, but by you just doing that bit more than the other person, it may just be 1%. After a year, you're probably 80% ahead of most people in that sort of same industry or that same kind of goal journey by just doing that bit more. And it just speaks a lot to the grit and determination and consistency. I think that's one big thing I've learned about achieving goals and staying on the right path and going where you want to go, is that consistent aspect.
So you mentioned that for a very long time you wanted the six pack, right?
Yeah.
What's taking you so long?
It's been that exact aspect of not having smart goals. So not having...
Was it the coaching that took you to that place? Did you feel like you needed that?
It was so it was more, I didn't know what I didn't know.
I love that.
If that makes sense.
Yes. That's a blind spot.
Yeah, it's a very big one where it was like, I thought I was doing the right things. I was going to the gym, I was exercising, but there were pieces that I was missing. So I thought I had to gain, because it's muscle. To get muscle, you eat more protein, you gain. Whereas I was taught that actually I had to strip fat and pull the layers away and eat more vegetables and less carbs and limit my protein. And I thought, I genuinely didn't know that. I didn't know that 10,000 steps a day for a couple months, even without hitting gym, you could lose a lot of weight. Drinking water helps. X amount of salt helps. So for me, it was the piece around not knowing what I didn't know and having no specific measurables. Because I was doing the right things, but I just wasn't really measuring. And there's an important point of...
Were you doing the right thing by thinking protein was the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was, but it was like one part of the story.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah, and I was missing all these other parts that I never even thought of. And it's this point, and I keep emphasizing measuring, because one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that you can't manage what you don't measure. If you're not measuring something, how do you know if you're getting better? How do you know you're not getting worse? How do you know anything? You're not managing it. And I think that's the way that aspect. And I think for me, this is a core part of a lot of goals and dreams, is to measure and assess. I want to do this. When you're baking a cake, fair enough, you can eyeball to an extent, but if you want to get the right recipe, you have to sort of measure. You put 350 grams of whatever, flour, sugar, 4 eggs, there's a measurement. If you put one too many eggs, you get a different result. With brownies, I like my brownies. Don't ask me why. I like my brownies, right? I do different recipes.
Yeah, because you was like, oh, that's a blondie. I was like, this guy knows
yeah.
about it.
I know my brownies, man. I know my brownies. But no, the thing with brownies is, if you want to get a more fudgy brownie, you'd use more fats, so more sugar, more butter, more chocolate. If you want a more cakey brownie, you'd use more flour. And the way you get that is in a difference in measurements. If you're eyeballing it, you might accidentally put a bit more flour. You don't really know. Why is this thing all cakey? You didn't measure it. Didn't measure it, you couldn't manage it.
Yeah.
And you didn't get the result you wanted. Perfect example. And we see that play out in people's lives.
What made you take that leap of sign up for this fitness aspect of it? Was it awareness of like, I've been doing it? Did you know you was doing it wrong? What made you go from that moment?
It was a bit of that. It was just like, part of it was like, I've been saying this for time. I'm not seeing it happen yet. I'm putting in because I was in the gym, to be fair. And I'm like, where's the result? And at the same time of, you know what? I think it was humbleness of, I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I've tried. I've read a bit online. There is an overabundance of information. Like the health industry, the health and the wealth industry, two industries, overabundance of information, overabundance of products and whatever else. So for me, it was like, there's just so many screaming voices saying, do this, do that. Coffee is good for you. Coffee is bad for you. Protein shake is good for you. Protein shake is bad for you. Exercise 4 times. Exercise twice. You're exercising too much. Overtrain the muscles. Don't overtrain the muscles. There was just so much. I've literally seen so many conflicting.
Everyone's got an argument against everything.
Oh my word! There's honestly so many conflicting views of. I even still see it now. To bulk up, focus on volume. To bulk up, focus on weight, low rep. Like there's so many conflicting views. For me, it was like it's too much. It's like going into it was just too much. Like there's so many different opinions. So for me, it was like, and again, I'm quite visual. So I saw that they did this training program. I saw results. I saw people who had similar bodies to mine, had achieved these great results. So it was the visibility aspects of seeing past results of other people. Me reaching that point of, you know what? No, I've been saying this for a minute. Let's do it.
Enough is enough. I'm taking control.
It doesn't take long. I want to do it. Taking control, taking responsibility was a big one, and saying, I've tried. It hasn't worked out the way I wanted it to work out. It's taken longer. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what I don't know. And I think that's an important aspect, to be able to say, I don't know what I don't know. Even if you are an expert in the field, there will be aspects you do not know. No one knows every single thing about something. Over time, there are advancements in technology that show us new ways to do things, and then we learn new things. Back in the day, we thought we knew everything. Then we discovered electricity, we discovered all these different aspects, and we're like, okay. That's how you cure that disease. If a snake bites you, that's what you do with the vet. Okay.
My bad.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, all you people. Why would these mothers die when they give birth? Okay. These germs, penicillin, health. Okay, we're learning. Why do we keep dying at 40? Okay, air pollution, health, wealth. With extended life expectancy. So many different aspects. We don't know what we don't know. There's so much going on now. Bro, there's so much going on now in terms of like diseases, healthcare, education, where we're like, what's the solution? Renewable resources. Greenhouse gases. We're running out of oil. There's a solution. And it was just that awareness of not knowing what I didn't know. I took the leap. I put in the work. There were days, bro, when I was like, this is long. What? Spinach for breakfast? You're mad. Give me a bagel. Give me a croissant. But it was like, let me just stay on my journey. Let me do what I need to do. There were days when I'm like, no, this is long. And it's like, okay, go back to your why behind your why. What's your real reason? Why you didn't do this for no reason? Why are you here in the first place? You're here for a reason. Tap into that. Okay, health, achieve my body. Okay, cool. Okay, let's go. It's the same with gym. There are days when I'm like, I don't want to go. But I think as long as I just stick to the routine and just go in, I'm like, actually, you know what? I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
It's a bit long, but we've done it. No, I'm enjoying this. Yeah. And then it becomes a part of your routine.
I'm just trying to think. So when you're writing your goals,
Yeah.
is there a line that's actually reflecting your why? Or is your why just contained in your brain?
So, no, what I've started to do now is have that very clear. So I think that's what has helped. And that's what I've read helps as well, is that when things are as clear as possible, it's a lot easier. When you have very vague things, I don't know if you've ever done this, where you and someone might be like, yeah, we should meet up next week or next month. Yeah. And then there's no date, there's nothing. It just kind of, then the day comes, there's no day.
The month goes.
The month goes and you're just like, yeah. It's like, ugh. And our brain has a way of like, just, we ignore it if that's the case. But if it's like, we're going to meet Tuesday, the 14th of March at 7 p.m. at Quaglinos or wherever it is, you know it's happening. You've got a specific date, you've got a time frame, it's time bound, you've measured it, you know when you're going, it's going to happen. Bro, can we push it back to 7:15? Okay, cool. At least we know we have a time, as opposed to we should link up soon. You know,
Yeah, soon.
that's a classic. I hate you. I don't know if you. I'll be honest. I've used that line quite a few times.
Yeah.
Soon, yeah. I ain't seen you in a minute. We should link up soon. You know.
Yeah.
6 months later, we should link up soon. You know.
Repeat.
And it's like, actually, you know what? I've started to really kind of be tangible with. Are you free on Monday the 4th? Let's put some times and
put a
dates
date
to it.
in a diary.
Let's make it specific. I think that's what sometimes is the push that people need. Because there's this kind of concept of giving ourselves deadlines. So they've done these sort of experiments and they found that if you say you want to write a project, yeah, you say, I'm going to give myself a month. It will take you a month to do the project.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, I'm going to give myself a week or two, you'll get it done in that time frame. And that just shows how powerful time frames are and deadlines are, the way our brains react to it.
Depends if you're setting the deadlines.
If you're setting it as well.
Because if you say it, you're more likely to be like, realistically, it's going to take
push
4
it back.
weeks.
Yeah, and adjust it. But even still, just having something written down and in sort of sight is very sort of helpful. And to that point of having the why behind the why down, now I see the value. So now I do it.
Yeah.
So with a goal, this is the goal. Let's break it down. How am I going to do it? What are the kind of little tick off points and checkpoints? What's the why behind the why? How are you going to get there? Who can potentially help me resource-wise achieve this goal? And who can I help who's got a similar or the same goal achieve their goal as well? Okay, let's go. I can't help you directly. Okay, I can inspire you. You don't want to do what I've done, but look, this is what I've achieved by doing this. Oh, no, that's amazing. No, I rate that. I'm doing my thing. Okay, cool, I'm going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
I'm going to email you. So I'm going to call you in 4 months and I want to know how much you weigh. I want to know what you've achieved. Oh, okay, cool.
Nah, the pressure.
It's the pressure, but I think that also brings in that accountability aspect, which is just as important.
Yeah.
Left to our own devices, more often than not, we don't always do what we want to do or say we're going to do.
Yeah, it depends on your willpower.
Yeah, but if you know that I've got to meet Mark at 4 p.m. to discuss what I've done, it's a different story. Because I don't know if you know about, this like Slimming World clubs and stuff, Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
What they found is that the people who, when they started to do these group sessions, the people were 60% more likely to lose weight. Why? Because of the accountability aspect. If me, Jessica, Jenny have all set out to lose...
It's been a bad week, guys.
Lose 10 kg
oh, gosh.
in these next 2 months...
I didn't have my shakes this morning.
I didn't have my shakes this morning. You know that you don't want to embarrass yourself. You want to make the group proud. You're more likely to push through. You're accountable to these people. You have to... They're a bit cutthroat because they make you stand on the scale in front of everyone. They're like, you've had a few bickies today, haven't you? And it's that accountability aspect, I think, that feeds into it. But I was going to sort of say, have you found measuring your goals to be helpful? Is it something you've done? Is it something you've shied away from? What has been sort of your experience? Or are you one of those people who just says, I want to do this, and then just does it?
No, I measure it in the sense of what I want to achieve in a time frame. So... I have got into the practice of planning years. So what do I want to achieve this year? Breaking it down into months and breaking it down into weeks. So every single week I'm reflecting on, how far away am I from the goals that I'm setting?
I like that.
Am I on course? I need to get better at it because I think on a daily basis you can pick out certain things that you're not doing well at.
Yeah.
And that's the measure. And I think it's important. Because this whole discovery of your why is a very challenging point.
Yeah.
For years, why, purpose. I don't know if you see it as the same thing, why and purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah? So people be like, you got to find your passion, got to find your purpose, got to find your why. And that question is frustrating when you don't know where it is. You know, you're like, what is it? What is it? What is it? But I feel like if your desires are something like, I want to go away, I want to relax, I want to see the other side of the world, that's a why. Now, you've got your big why. Now you have to break it down into your goals. Yeah. Individual goals. So you've got to think about what do you need to put in place to enable you to achieve that why. And that's when you have to get smart about it. That's when you have to be like, I have to measure it. What do I need to put away every single month to get me to that position? My own account, I went traveling for 12 months. I was like, how much is it going to cost me financially? From a year ago, from like a year before traveling, I was like, this is how much I need. Right, how much money do I need to set aside into the savings? This much. And then as soon as I got closer to it, then you start planning the little individual aspects of it. I'm going to fly from here, I'm going to fly from there. This is how much it's going to cost. Ooh. But I knew the figure. So for me personally, when it comes to financial figures, it's always good to have a target. Yeah. And also be realistic with it. So I'm going to throw in all the different, be specific, be measurable. Is it achievable, attainable? Yeah. Is it realistic? Is it time bound? So if you have a target, a friend of mine called me up. He's like, Ant, man, I want to make 20K. I was like, cool. How are you going to do that? First question. He's like, I was thinking of doing, because he's got a job. Yeah. Big time contractor, but he wants to make extra money on the side. Rate him. And he was like, I'm thinking of doing like Deliveroo and all them stuff. And I was like, how much is that? He's like, £10 an hour. I was like, how many hours is that, you know, you have to do to actually achieve 20K? Ooh. You're going to be killing yourself. Yeah. You're going to be sacrificing time. Is there an alternative method? And it's also assessing what you have, you know, in your itinerary. Like, could you do, I don't know, could he do programming? Like, he's from an IT background. Could you find another way? But also the measuring part also helps you identify if you're on course or off course. Yeah. So important. You don't want to make it towards the end of the year when you go, new year, new me. It's 2021 and you haven't actually got anywhere close to what you were setting out for. Yeah. And it could be because you haven't put in the action or, your goal was just too high.
You know what? On that point, because the sort of point you mentioned about realistic, and I didn't really go into it, and I think this is a bit of a challenge point for me because I was listening to so there's this guy I follow, great guy. I think everyone should follow him. I'd recommend following him. Byron Cole, Mr. B Self-Made, I believe is his Instagram name, and he had a video on YouTube with his wife Bianca, and they were talking about SMART goals and a different aspect, and they focused on the realistic aspect and were saying, for them, I think they felt that part should be scrapped. And their sort of argument for it was that to set goals, you should set goals that are unrealistic in the sense that they are above what you'd normally deem as realistic. As long as they don't defy the laws of man, of gravity, that there should be no boundaries on those goals. And that if you aim really high, if worst case it doesn't pan out, things don't work out, you may not achieve that, but you still achieve a very high result. You're still up there in the clouds. You're still high, as opposed to a sort of attaining or aiming for like an average goal, and you not hitting that, and then kind of being like, actually, this isn't great. Point? Yeah. And at first, I was like, why would you say that? Like, they need to be realistic. We live in the real world. Don't give people with this false hope. But then, I had to kind of sit down and think to myself, actually, I get it, and I'm sort of with that. And an example that was used was, Bianca said her dad kind of, would tell her that, so she'd come home with predicted B grades for maths, and her dad was like, A. Why not A? Get an A.
Why not?
And then when that aim was pushed higher, the result was then achieved. And for me, it is the point where I'm like, you know what? It is a fair point. Because it goes to, I don't know if you've read Grant Cardone's 10X.
No.
And it's that kind of aspect of 10X your goals. If you want to get 10, aim for 100. If you want to get 5, aim for 25. And overachieving, over-aiming, setting the goalpost so high that, again, if you do fail, if you don't reach that £1 million you wanted to get, you might have reached 800, but it means you pushed a lot more than your initial 100k milestone. Yes, that might not be the case in all circumstances. Fair enough, not everyone can achieve that, but by pushing yourself a bit more, you might then achieve a bit more. And for me, it was a scary thought, because then I looked at a lot of my goals and I said, can I do this in a little less time? Can I save a bit more money than I set out to? And then that kind of push comes in. And I think what's powerful with that is from then kind of having that 10x or that kind of multiple goal, new goal kind of like achievement is that you then start to challenge yourself and say, okay, how can I achieve this? How can I get to 3 times what I initially wanted to get? How can I save double this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Let me try it. And then you're actually putting things, or you're putting yourself in positions to actually make it happen. And I think it's so powerful when I think about it. I'm just like, man.
I think it's really down to how hungry you are.
That's
because,
big thing.
You know, you're talking about 10x and there is, for some people, there's going to be a ceiling and they actually might be happy with that. Obviously, aim for the stars.
Yeah.
Or would they say shoot for the
stars? If you fail, you land on the clouds or the moon. Some bars, yeah. Some
and it
bars
makes sense. I've been in positions where I set out crazy goals. I haven't achieved them. What it has done though is maybe go, what do I need to do now?
Okay, but do you regret it?
So at the moment when you realise that, you was gassed.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the goals because the figure on it was mad.
But I mean, like, okay, so say you set out to make 200k. So then say you originally set out to make 50, then you're like, no, F it, 200, man.
A fair example could be like reading 20 books a year.
Yeah.
And then probably reading 8. And like, oh man.
But say your initial goal was 5 a year and you said 20, but then you've done 8. Because the 8 is more than your initial 5, it's still that concept of, I aimed for 20, I didn't get it, but hey, I did more than my initial 5. Was that the case, or was it just like, oh, I didn't? Like,
yeah, it's more of a, oh, man.
Yeah.
Damn, maybe I should make it smaller so it's achievable.
But do you think that's still the case if, again, your initial one was 5? So you still smashed your initial one.
And then I got 8.
Yeah. So you wanted 5, then maybe you've read that concept of, nah, let me
if I set out for 5 and I achieve 8, then the bar goes up. That's my way of approaching it. So the next year it would be, I've done 8, I could do 10.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm kind of going from there.
Because maybe it's just my way of taking things, but if I set out for 8 books and I only achieve 5, I'm like, what? You have to evaluate, what was I doing day to day? And if I felt like I was trying to do everything to read 8 books and I still wasn't achieving it, I might have to be like, all right, cool, 6 books, push it a bit, just one above 5.
One above. Is that then dangerous then to have that idea of, and with 10x, it doesn't always literally mean 10x, but it means sort of above what is the standard. Do you think that's then dangerous? Because what I'm thinking now is that there might be people who are like, I want to read those 5 books, using that example.
Oh, I think initially
I'm going to go 20. Yeah. They then hit 8.
Go in hard. If it's your first one, this is my own, view of it. If it's your first one, go in. Because you can achieve it. Everything's possible. The point that I got to was, okay, 8 books or 20 books. I achieved 8. I'm all right with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was meaning. Like, in that context is, because I know I'd be satisfied that I've done more than my initial 5. I haven't done my 20, but then that will give me the fire to do it next year. But I'm saying, can you imagine yourself or other people in a position where they'll be like, I went from 5 to 20 and I flopped. I only did 8. Oh man. In fact, maybe I can't even do 5. Let me do 4. And I think that's a risk as well, where that overabundance of a goal, the bar being set so high to achieve that goal, that's then missed. And then people are so close to the initial one that they kind of give up, or they're like, what's the point? There's that risk. I think there's definitely that risk.
It might just prompt you to measure it, to really review it and understand what you need to do to achieve it.
It's risk, isn't it?
Why do you say risk?
Because it could go both ways. So it could go both ways. Of like,
there's no
either side of the number.
But that's what I say. I say, if you've got something in mind, aim higher. I don't. If I was going to set a new goal to read books, I don't usually base it on anything. Yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah, I don't. With the books, I don't really, because I used to do. Do you know Goodreads?
Yeah.
And then they've got their yearly annual book challenge, and you know what? This exact same thing actually happened. So it was. I think I just set myself 1 a month, which I did. Then I was like, I'm gonna double this, man. Go all in, all on red. So then I doubled it, and this was last year, and I didn't achieve it. But then I just felt like I was chasing this number for the sake of it. And I'm like, why am I? Because there was a book or two I read, and I just thought, am I just doing this for the numbers, or am I reading this? But I'm glad I did, because now it's giving me the point to step back and say, I'm just going to read. I'd rather read 3 books that are relevant to me at this time in my life, and I will take not 100%, but a lot of value from, and actually implement what I've learned from those books in my life, than read 24 books to say, I've done this challenge. And I think that's what the last sort of year has been. So 2019, going to 2020, has been more Blinkist. So getting the core aspects of a book into 15 minutes. Is this relevant? Yes, these are the main points. And then implementing that. And I've seen that with a couple books. And I'm like, this approach is better. I'm reading a lot less, but I'm getting a lot more quality. So I'm more focused on quality than content. So I think it's contextual. So if, say I had a business and my business was number-based, and I just was looking to double revenue, reduce my expenses, triple profit, in that regard, I think that sort of thing is absolutely perfect. Let's 10x, let's double, let's triple. In the context of books, where it's more qualitative and contextual and based on what I extract from it, I think in that kind of context, it was irrelevant. So I think it is obviously subjective to what the context is. So with books, not for me. With a business or something numbers-based, or applying for jobs, yes, because it's sort of more numbers-based.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because I was only going to say, because your Goodreads, was it all based on non-fiction type of books? Because it sounded like you was trying to get something out of it.
Yeah, I was just trying to it was the value, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from that?
So
what can I pick up?
Your why, but at the same time, you was hoping that in each of these books, random books, that wasn't aligned with what you really needed, was going to, I don't know, somehow deliver some type of content, and you'd be like, yeah.
They were all like in that sort of vein, but some of them I was just like, I'm like, this is just a number.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a decent number.
Because I was on that similar path. So I think I was probably 24. And I remember I used to sacrifice like my weekends to go coffee shop and read a book, because I was challenged in the sense of, I want to read all these books. Yeah. These books have been recommended by...
highly recommended.
I'm like,
affiliate links.
And I used to calculate how long it takes me to read a book. And I was like, if I can read this amount of pages in 30 minutes, So I used to time, I'd be like, this book is 300 pages. I can finish this in 6 hours, or something crazy like that. And then I got to a point, I was like, I'm just picking up information for what purpose, for what reason? And then I think I came across something, and it was like, when it comes to reading, especially if it's non-fiction, anything related to like, I don't know, self-improvement or anything like that, read it when you need it. Yeah. Don't read it for just in case. That whole just in case stuff, it's not necessary.
Read it when you need it. Yeah.
So like that's the whole point of like, you set goals. You do it.
Yeah. Just
you reflect on it. You measure it. And then you question yourself. The why. So like, it took me a year to realize I was just reading books just for the sake of reading books. And then I was like, actually, I don't need to. I read the books that I need to read. It doesn't have to have a number quantified to it.
When I need to read it, when it's relevant.
So, I get the whole removing R, and I can see its value, because you should aim for all the way up. Yes. I don't even know what's past the universe, the galaxy, the Milky Way, anything
whatever
like that.
It is, aim for that.
Because you can do it. You just come to a point of where saying, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Because it is about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, that will contribute to that dream
success,
that you have.
That goal, that thing coming to
whatever fruition. Your dream is. It could be small, it could be big. A lot of people have the dreams of, when it comes to their special day, being a certain size or, a certain weight, and you achieve it. What happens after that? Yeah. Your dream died.
That's the thing.
What next?
Yeah. And there's this sort of point of, should we set goals? Because there's that point of just using that perfect example of the wedding day. You lose all this weight just for the day. Then after that, do you then balloon back? You've lost the motivation for getting into shape in the first place, because it was just an arbitrary date, one day. That day has passed.
Man said wedding day. I just said special day. Right. I'm saying birthday, but that's what I mean. I hear a lot of stories around, and I think removing goals in life is dangerous, because it's your way of, me personally, especially when I was reflecting on 2019.
Yeah.
So I have my spreadsheet. It's got everything down for the year, down to months. I went through it. I reflected on every single moment, and every single goal, whether I achieved it or not, I looked at why I achieved it, why I didn't achieve it. Mm-hmm. That was powerful. If I don't have that, then I don't really know if I'm going to be progressive. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be like, you know what, 2019 was a lesson. Mm-hmm. 2018 was what can I take away from it? Because when you look at anyone else in the world that you idolize or you look at and they inspire you, their story is what inspires you. Mm-hmm. What's your own story? What's your chapter of 28 or 2019? Yeah. What is that going to say? If you can't have those markers, those goals, or the reason why you haven't got to where you got to, you ain't going to have that story at the end. You aren't going to be able to sit down with your kids or, your nephew, your niece and be like, yo, yes, there was a time when I struggled. Mm-hmm. It was 2017 and I was wasting time with this and this and this. Mm-hmm. And it took me to 2020 to realize that small change is what I need to do. I needed a 6-pack. That's what I wanted. I wanted the 6-pack. I found this visual course or whatever you found, and that's what I went for. And that was a turning point.
Yeah, substance. It's all about the substance and the story.
Goals are
arbitrary.
I feel are necessary. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Not necessarily like that. What are you doing with your life? But
how bad do you want it?
Yeah, you could be retired, but your goal will still be, I want to go outdoors like at least 3 times a week. It's okay.
Good on you.
It's a standard.
Yeah.
Like, what is your standard? And to be fair, if you're retired, you're 65, and your standard is, consistently the same, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Just, are you happy with it?
It does it for you.
Yeah. That whole desire of wanting more is dangerous as well.
Is it though?
Yeah, because you're chasing, you're not enjoying now. It takes away, because you achieve something.
Yeah.
What happens after that? What next?
It depends on how well you are at celebrating.
You celebrate, but in the grand scheme of things.
Because where's the line of stagnation? So if I don't keep... So for example, I know exactly what you mean, but say for example, I have a goal. I want to get to 10. I get to 10. I'm now hungry again. What's next? I don't 10. I want to get to 20. Say I stopped at 10. Just stagnate. I think that's the kind of thing.
What's wrong with it?
I think it's there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with either way. I think it's balanced though.
Yeah,
it's
but
balanced.
if you're enjoying 10,
enjoy. I've achieved 10. Enjoy 10. Why do we want to get to 10? Remember that. Enjoy 10. Are we good here? Do we need to go to 20? Is 15 okay? Or are we trying to get to 30? But I think it's the awareness of we're at 10. We've done bits because we came from 0. Do we want to go to 20? Yeah? Okay, cool. Let's go.
Yeah.
Either way, whether you want to stay at 10 or go to 20, I think there has to be a piece of celebration for achieving what you've done. And I think a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this myself, are guilty of not enjoying and celebrating 10. Like you're saying. Just keep going.
Yeah.
What's next? Okay, I got the job. I want the promotion. We're at 10.
Carry on the stick. When does it end?
That's the thing. And that's the thing. It's that vicious cycle of it never ends. But that's apparently the way it is. Like, the game never ends. I was reading this book. I don't know if you've heard of it. The Way of the Superior Man.
No.
I think it's one of the first chapters or the first line. It's like, it never ends. Like, the sort of, the hustle and bustle or the challenge of life or like, whatever, it doesn't end. Like, podcasting, whatever you want to do, like it doesn't, like, this is it, like, it doesn't end. So you can stagnate or you can keep, but it doesn't end. Just know that. So it's like, whatever you choose to take from it, it is what it is, but it doesn't end. But it's a good question, because for some people they're happy at 10, others want to keep going. How do we celebrate? How do we?
So like, that whole keep going thing, I feel like it's I want to say it's a reflection of saying, I'm not there yet. But have you defined what there is? And that's the crazy loop that people get into of, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there. And then, boom, life is over.
Yeah, done.
Whereas I'm there, it's good. I'm hungry for more. Cool, I can work towards it, but I'm still happy where I am. And that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of people who achieve things and are deemed successful, but not truly happy based on where they are, right?
Big.
Their first achievement, if they actually was like, I could never imagine myself in this moment. I am so happy for this, but I'm hungry for more. If they still aim and they still fall down, they're like, I'm still happy. Let's go again and pick themselves up. Yeah. Some people will find it very difficult to be on top and then fall down to the bottom, and their life is over.
Struggle.
You know? And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, sometimes we just have to literally be like, it's all right now.
When is enough?
Yeah,
no, you're right.
I'm happy now.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
I'm hungry for more.
It goes back to that piece you said about defining what's enough, what's satisfaction. When are we there?
Oh, it's a carrot on a stick.
Yeah, defining when you're there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're there.
You're there now.
We're good. I could get more, and I might get a bit more, but if this is all it is, I'm happy.
You're there
satisfied.
now. You're there. You should be there now. The opportunity is there on the other side. Like, I could do that, but now's all right.
Yeah, we're good. Like, let's, I like this.
Don't even get it twisted. I am hungry.
Yeah.
Every single road, I'm sniffing it. I'm like, I could do that.
How much?
But at the same time, I'm blessed of being where I am. And I will never, and I hope that I never forget that.
I don't think you will. I think you're good at that awareness piece of, we've come far, look at what we've done. Like, this is nice.
Not all the time. Sometimes I have to remind myself.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
That's part of it. It's okay.
It's okay.
Oh man. No, brilliant. Great chat. We'll bring this episode to a close. As always, guys, you know where you can find us. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We can be emailed at info@tagminpodcast.co.uk. And as always, keep it locked.